Hi folks, this is Karim Raouf from IT Visualizer channel. Today we'll continue our lab, the COVID-19 lab. This is the video number 15. We have been discussing in the previous video the following. We have created our domain. We have created a lot of users, a lot of groups. We have two computers join the domain, one that have Windows 10 20H2 Enterprise and the other has Windows 10 LTSC 2019 Enterprise. So we are having a lot of things created. We need to make an inventory. Okay, so to be a professional IT, you need to have an inventory of all of your network devices and all of your configuration. So you need to have a total inventory of the Active Directory configuration or Active Directory objects, something like how much users and their information, how much computers and their information, how much groups and their information, and the group members. So you need to have a total inventory of everything in the network. And we will begin with the Active Directory, and the upcoming videos we will begin making inventory for the hardware of the PCs and computers in our domain, and the servers of course, and the inventory for the permissions on the shared folders, and the software inventory of on all of the PCs in the domain, how much or what is the software installed on every PC, and what is the software licenses for all of our network. So in the previous video I have discussed how to make a total inventory of the Active Directory through using the Excel through a specifically known option as Power Query. So the Power Query will connect to the Active Directory internal database. We have said before that the Active Directory save all of the info concerning the users, the groups, and everything related to the Active Directory objects are saved in an internal database. But to correct the information, it's not Windows internal database. This is a small database. This is saved in C Windows NTDS folder. So when you install the Active Directory, there is a folder created by the Active Directory setup which is in the C Windows NTDS. This place contains a small database, okay, which is called ntds.dit. So this is a small database. It's not Windows internal database, because I have mistaken. The Windows internal database is much larger in data size, and it is different, and I think the ntds.dit is smaller in size. Anyway, so we use the Excel Power Query option to connect to the ntds.dit. This is the database of the Active Directory. This database contains all of the information we need to create useful reports. So for example, we will use the Excel to create a report with all of the users in the domain, their first name, their last name, their username, the last login time on the PC, their email, their mobile number. All of this will be created using the Excel, okay? And by the way, these reports will be instantly, or it will be updated instantly. So if for example you go to the Active Directory and delete a user, this will be reflected directly in the Excel report. So we have made Active Directory users life report, and then we have created an Active Directory groups and group memberships life report. So this report will contain the group names and the membership of or the users membership in every group, okay? And then we have created a report that will reflect the computers in my Active Directory, or the joined computers to the domain in my Active Directory. This is also live report, and these are all done using the Excel, which will connect directly to the Active Directory internal database. We have said that its location is in C Windows NTDS, and the database is called ntds.dit. And not only this, we will not use only the Excel to connect directly to the database, but we will manipulate the data we get from the Active Directory database and arrange it and delete some things. All of this also are done using a script language called, or a language called M language. So we will use the Excel with the Power Query option plus the M language to connect to the Active Directory database and manipulate the data from the Active Directory database to get useful reports and instant reports. So we have done this in the previous video. In this video we will continue working to make total inventory, but this time we will make a hardware inventory. So we will have a report that will have every PC, how much hard disk are attached to this PC, what is the processor of this PC, what is the RAM in this PC, what is the motherboard serial number, what is the monitor serial number. So we'll have a complete hardware inventory for all of the PCs and servers in the domain using a PowerShell script. And then we will have another report to reflect the permissions on the shared folder. So we all know that when we make a file server and we have created on the file server folders so that every user or every department can put its important data on it, these folders are shared, of course, so the users can reach it, and there is permissions on these folders. So for example, the accounting team can put its data on the accounting folder. So I need to have a report with every shared folder on the file server and the permissions associated with this folder. So if, for example, I need to make another file server, or my file server is down, I have all of the necessary data to create the shared folders again and to put the permissions again. So we'll have a script to make NTFS share permissions in a report, and then we will make another, or we'll have another PowerShell script to have our SMB share permissions also in a report. And in this video also we will see how we can make a software inventory through using the DemWare software. This will have a separate video, but we will see how we can make a software inventory also using a third-party utility, which is DemWare. This is a SolarWinds tool, and you need to take care to update this tool because for the recent hacking event for the SolarWinds products, so you need to have the DemWare updated and the security bug fixed in the DemWare. Anyway, so we will begin working with the scripts to create the total hardware inventory and the total permissions inventory for the NTFS permissions and for the SMB share permissions. So now we will open the VMware Workstation Pro and then we will open the primary domain controller. So we'll open the primary domain controller, then we will open our additional domain controller. This is our primary, and then we have our additional domain controller. Okay, and then we will log in with the domain admin account, which is Kairaouf, and he is a member of the domain admin Active Directory group. Not only Karim, but all of the IT personnel. Okay, so here we will log in with Kairaouf. So now here we can see, let's have a look on the PowerShell scripts. And by the way, all of the PowerShell scripts and all of the necessary files used in this lab, it is in a Google Drive link in every description in every video on this playlist. So we will just eject the Office DVD that we have used before to install Excel, and then we will go to the COVID-19 folder, and then we open DC domain, and then we'll go to the folder of something called PowerShell inventory. Anyway, it's not there yet, so I will take it from my laptop. So this is the share between my laptop and my virtual machine, so I need to have some files copied: the PowerShell PC inventory master and the scripts master. This is the two that contains the inventory PowerShell scripts, and some tools, okay, something like dump, event, and hyena, and dimware software that will install later in our lab. So now we will paste them to my virtual machine. And then we'll begin running the first report, or to run the first PowerShell script to create an Excel sheet with all of the hardware inventory in my domain. So here this is the script. It's called PowerShell PC inventory. So here we will do something. This folder, we will share it. Okay, so here what we'll do, we will share this folder and give everyone or every domain user full control over this folder. Okay, why we are doing this? We are sharing the folder so I can, just a minute, here we will share the folder. So here we go advanced share, and then we'll have share this folder and then permissions. Okay, and then we will give it or remove everyone and add domain users. So domain users, it is an Active Directory group that contains all of the users in the domain. We will give it full control over this folder. So this is the first thing for the SMB share permissions, and for the NTFS we will do the same. I will tell you in a moment why we are doing this. So we will share this folder, and we have give it SMB share permissions, and then we will give it NTFS share permissions. So here we are sharing the folder and giving the domain users full control over these folder. Why is this? Because this PowerShell script, when it run, it will create an Excel sheet that will contain the hardware inventory. Okay, and for example, if I run this PowerShell script on this server, it will create an Excel sheet, and it will put the hardware specs of this server in this Excel sheet. And then I can go to another workstation or to go to another PC and run the same PowerShell script, and it will put a second line in the Excel sheet with the hardware inventory of the workstation that I have run this PowerShell script on it. So I need to share this folder so I can access it from other PCs in the domain, and I need to give the users control over this folder or permissions on this folder to run the PowerShell script and to be able to add their data in the Excel sheet. I will show you all how this is done, but first let's see when we run this report or we run this PowerShell script what will happen. Here we will tell him edit. So here this is the PowerShell script. It will get the data of any PC it will run on. This data will contain the serial number of the motherboard, the power, here we can see the CPU, the serial of the monitor, the serial of the motherboard, and a lot of things. So let's see when we run this report what will happen. We will run it on the server first, so we will make inventory of the hardware of this server. So we run it. Here it's gathering inventory information. Okay, he didn't succeed in getting the monitor serial because this is a virtual machine and doesn't have a monitor. So here we can see that there is an Excel sheet created or a CSV file. So when we open it, let's see the data gathered by the PowerShell script. If we open it, we can see that there is a data here. We can see that the time that this data is collected or the time that this PowerShell script is run, and a lot of info. Let me discuss it one by one. So here we can see that first of all the data, this or the time that this PowerShell script is ran, the IP of the machine, the name of the machine, the MAC address of the network card. Let me see here the network or the MAC address of the network card, the user that has run this script, and this is the serial number of the motherboard, the model of the PC, the CPU and the RAM and the hard disk, and the serial of the monitor if there is any. Okay, but actually this is a virtual machine, so he didn't recognize the serial number of the monitor. Okay, so here this is a PowerShell script. I will show you all when we go, for example, to the this is the additional. If you go to the primary and run the same script, it will add a second line in this Excel sheet with the hardware specs of the primary domain controller. I will show you all this. So we will go to the primary domain controller and run the same script and see what will happen. Will the Excel sheet be updated with the hardware of the primary domain controller? And by the way, there is a way to automate the running of this PowerShell script using a group policy, but I am doing it manually because I have a small number of PCs, so I can run them, or I run the PowerShell script manually and separately without any effort. But if you have a large number of PCs, you can make a group policy to run this PowerShell script on every PC in the when the user log in for the first time, for example, and it will succeed. And this is why we have shared the folder and put permissions on it, so every PC and user can be able to see this folder and run the PowerShell script and add the data to the Excel sheet. So let's, for example, here go to the run and get the shared folder that contains the PowerShell inventory script. So here we will go to the secondary domain controller, which is LF, and we will go. So here we can see that let's have a moment. So here we'll open this, and then we will go to the shared folder. So here we can go to the shared folder and run the PowerShell script, and let's see what will happen. So if we run it, it will not delete the Excel sheet, but it will add more info, or it will append data to this Excel sheet. So let's see how this is done. Okay, so wait for a moment and let's run the script and see the Excel sheet again and see if it will be updated or not. So here this is the PowerShell script. So here we will stop here and then okay, and let's run the PowerShell script. This is a notification that we have updates on the server, and I said before this is not from the W source. It is saying that the PowerShell script is not digitally signed, so there is sometimes that the PowerShell script will not run because there is a group policy that prevent running of PowerShell scripts unless it is signed, or the PowerShell script implementation is closed by a group policy. Anyway, we will run it through the PowerShell script or the PowerShell module, not through the PW or through the other program. Here I am just right click the script and tell him to run in PowerShell 7. Okay, so here we can see that he didn't able to get the inventory of the monitor, but if we opened again the Excel sheet, here again we will open it and see what here we open the total inventory, inventory. Then we will open the Excel sheet. We will see that there is another line added, okay, with the server hardware specs. So here it is updated, so you can run it on every PC in the domain, and then it will add a line for every PC hardware. So this can be automated using a group policy. So you can add a group policy to run the PowerShell script on the user login, but you need to make sure that the PowerShell scripts are not blocked by the group policy, because there is a default group policy to block PowerShell scripts unless they are signed or are digitally signed, okay, or they have a certificate. So this needs to be tweaked so the PowerShell script will run. Anyway, so this is the second line. We will have also inventory for the other two PCs, so I will open every one of them and run the script on it. So here this is the LTSC or Windows 10 LTSC machine. So now we will open it and then run the PowerShell script from it. So we will log in with the domain admin account. And take care that the username or the local admin account and the domain admin have the same username. So you need to type the domain, then the user, if you need to access this PC, especially with care of, because there is two users. One is the local admin and one is the domain admin. So I need to verify this for the Windows. So I need to go before care of, because he is now considering this the local admin. So I need to type the domain then slash the user. So here he will know that it is the domain admin account and not the local admin account. So here we will type the password and then we will log in and then run the script. So this is a very basic inventory for your network, but you need to have more detailed inventory. So you need to have inventory of your switches and their IP addresses, your router and your IP address, his IP address, the firewall and the IP address, the configuration of the firewall, the configuration of the switches, the ports on the switches, and every PC connected to this ports. You need to have an Excel sheet or a detailed documentation or for everything in your domain as a configuration and as a hardware. Okay, so here now we will log in to the PC and then we will go to the share, or we will need to access the shared folder that contains the hardware inventory PowerShell script and then run it. So here we tell him run, and then we need to type the server name, okay, that contains the share, and then we can type the share after it. So now let's wait here. We will go here and then we will, this is not it, we need to type the server name that contains the share and then press enter. It will get us all of the shares on the server, and then we can get the share folder that we need, or you can type the server then the share name of the folder that you have shared. Okay, so now here we will get this is, we need to go there and remove the D $sign. This will get us to the D partition of the server. We don't need this, so we type the server name. Here we can get the shares on this folder and then shares on this server, and then we get the PowerShell share folder and then run the script. So tell him right click and edit and then run the PowerShell script. Edit. You can run it with PowerShell 7, so we can do this, or so we have two ways to implement the PowerShell script. Let's see here. So you can tell him edit and run from inside the PowerShell Visual Basic, I think, module or something, or you can right click. So you can right click and edit and run the PowerShell script, or you can tell him run with PowerShell 7. So you can run it with both, or run with PowerShell. You can do the same, or you can run it in two ways. So here we will go and run it with PowerShell 7. And then we need to go and see the Excel sheet after running the PowerShell script and see what is inserted. So now it will take a little bit of time, but let's go further. So he's gathering information, and then if you go and open the inventory, okay, the Excel sheet, we will see, let's see again. Here I'm running the PowerShell script for the second time, and then if we go there, let's go again here we can see that there is another line added with the hardware of this PC, and it is added there already. But there is a problem with this PowerShell script. It doesn't recognize a second hard disk, so it only recognizes one hard disk. This is one of the problems with this script, but I think it can be tweaked. But anyway, it's a very good script, and it contains a lot of useful info. And by the way, there is free tools you can use to make hardware inventory for your network. But anyway, this is a very simple PowerShell script if you don't need to use any tools. Okay, so this is one of the useful PowerShell scripts that I have found on the internet. So here we can see there's a lot of info, the MAC address and the processor, the serial of the monitor, the Windows 10 OS version. So this is 1809 and 2009. This is the server, but it is data center Windows Server 2022, so its version is version 2009. So here now we will shut down this PC and then run this PowerShell script on the other virtual machine. As I said before, we can automate this process by making a group policy to implement this PowerShell script to every user or to every PC in the domain. Okay, so this can be done. You can Google it and see it because this is very simple, but here I am for the simplicity of this lab, so I am running it manually, but this can be done automatically. And by sharing the folder of the PowerShell script and giving domain users full control over it, this will help you to automate the process. Okay, you just need to make a group policy, okay, and point to the shared folder that contains the PowerShell script. So here we will go and log into the machine with the domain admin account. And then we need to wait until the login is finished. So okay, this is the error for the idle log of program. We can ignore it, and then we can right click and run and access the shared PowerShell script folder. So right click and run, and then access the shared folder. So here this is the PowerShell PC inventory folder. Open it and then run the PowerShell script. So right click and edit. Then to run the PowerShell script to add the hardware specs of this virtual machine to the Excel sheet. So here it is. We will run the PowerShell script through the PowerShell ISI program. Okay, I think this is the PowerShell module integrated with the Active Directory. Anyway, we will run it. Here we can see that there is no problem with running this PowerShell script because the permissions on the folder is correct and we can run it from there. So it's gathering inventory information. Then it's giving us errors because this errors is related to the monitor serial number. He wasn't able to get the monitor serial number, but anyway he successfully got the other info for the hardware. So when we open the Excel sheet, we will see a fourth line added with the specs of this virtual machine. So we will shut down this virtual machine, and then we will go to another PowerShell script to make a report with the permissions on every folder in our file server, the NTFS permissions and the SMB Share Permissions. So we will see this in a moment, but we need to power off this virtual machine. So we will sign out or shut down. okay, and then we will log into the file server or the additional domain controller. And then we can see the Excel sheet. So we'll go and see the Excel sheet and copy it. So we'll go to, I think, okay, the total inventory. Anyway, this is the other folder that contains other scripts. One of them is to get the NTFS share permissions. So this is folder permissions. We will run this get shares and permissions. This will get us the shared folders and the NTFS permissions, not the SMB share permissions. So now we will run this report and it will create an Excel sheet. So this is useful if you need to recreate the file server or you need to know the permissions exactly on your shared folders. So now we will run the script, but it needs to be run in a certain way. So first of all, we will take this Excel sheet and copy it and put it in our total inventory folder, the one that we have created previously, and add it to the folder of the Active Directory. Now we will just open the Excel sheet and see. So here we have our 4 machines. All our hardware is added and put in one report. Okay. So you can make a total inventory for your PCs annually or something, or every month, as you wish. You can run this report or update this report monthly, for example. Okay. So you need to make it as a regular task. So you can make it an annual task to update your inventory, or let's not annually say, or monthly. You can make it quarterly, so you can every 3 months you can make a total inventory. So this is something good. Here we will save this report. I can take a copy or save it as an Excel sheet because this is saved as CSV file. So we will go and save it to the total inventory folder. So I will leave it as a source and save it to total inventory, and then save it to the Active Directory, or sorry, to the hardware, and then save. So here is telling me if you need to save it in other formats. So we can save it as CSV or save it as Excel. So you can save it in other formats. Okay, so I will save it as an CSV and save it as an Excel sheet. Okay, so here we will have it as Office 2016 Excel sheet, or 2019 anyway. So we have saved it, and then this is it. So we have successfully make an hardware inventory for our PCs and servers in the domain. So this is the second step. We have an Active Directory inventory, and then we have a hardware inventory. We need to have also permissions inventory, so we will make it one by one. Here we can see the operating system also, and this is a useful thing. So it gets the operating system name, the version of the operating system, and a lot of useful data. So here we will go and run the script of the folder and share permissions. So here we will open it and then run it, but when we run it we will get some or prompted for some values. We need to tell him we need to tell the script where to export or to put the CSV file that will contain the report or the Excel sheet, and what server we need to get the share permissions from it. So now I didn't identify the correct data, so this folder or this script need to be run like this. So you need to give him this line, and then to give him the export path, the folder that this Excel sheet will be exported in with the permissions, and the server that you need to get the shares and the permissions on it. So you need to tell him the server or the file server name and the path that you will export the Excel sheet with the folders and their shares. So here I am telling him that my server, I need to get it from my file server. This is the name of the file server, and I need to export it to a folder in C folder called export. You need to have this folder created, by the way. It will not be created for you, so you need to have this folder created previously. I will show you all when we run the script. It will have an error because it will not see this folder. This folder is not created, so you need to create it and then run the script again. So here it will begin checking the permissions. So here we can go a little bit further. So here we can see it is failed. Why it is failed? Because it didn't find the path. So there is no folder called export in the D. So you need to create the folder and then run the script again. So let's see, after creating the folder, I will run the script again. So here it is. I will just press enter and then see. We will see the Excel sheet after running the script, and we will see what is the data included. So here we can see that he have seen all of the share folders on my file server, and he listed them. So he listed all of the share folders in your file server and the associated NTFS permissions. Okay, we will run another script to have the SMB share permissions. So if we go, let's go to the folder. This is not it, so we will go. So let me show you all this. You can go and you can go to the folder again. So let's go to the export and then open the share permissions folder. So the share permissions Excel sheet. So here we can see, if you just maximize the cells, so you can just select all of the columns and then do like this. Here what we'll do here, this is the folder name, the folder path, the groups that have permissions on these shared folders. Okay, so this is the folder share name, and this is the path of this folder, and then the path, the shared path, of course, and this is the share name and the shared path, and then this is the groups that have permissions on this folder, and these are the permissions. So let's have a little look. So here we can see that these are the permissions. Okay, full control, and then modify, and this is the access. This is allow, so it's not deny. This is allow, and then if it is inherited, so for example, if this is a main folder and there is subfolders in it, is the permissions inherited to the subfolder? So this is false. Okay, so it will not be inherited. Okay, so this is related only to the folder, not the subfolders. Okay, so these are the NTFS share permissions. So how to get the SMB share permissions? You can go to the PowerShell and then run this script, or run this command. So we run this get SMB or get SMB share access, and then export CSV and tell him the Excel sheet to be exported, and type no type information. So if you run this command in a PowerShell script, you will get this data. Let me show you all the data. So we can go to the permissions and then we get the share permissions. So let's wait for a moment. So this will be the SMB share permissions. I have shown you all the NTFS share permissions. So let's see, this is, or no, I think this is the no, this is the NTFS share permissions. This is the same one. So let's get the permission export. Just a moment. So this is it. Just a moment. Let's go there. I think this is the same also. No, this is the same. This is NTFS permissions also. So let's go and run this one. I think this is another one. So anyway, I have done it already. So if you need to get the SMB share permissions, you need to run this command to get the SMB share permissions, and the one that I showed you now, it is the NTFS share permissions. So we have both the NTFS and the SMB. So now all of this is added. We can see that these are all of the folders shared and the related permissions. So all of this is done. Here we can see. So now we have the permissions. We will put it here from the export and put it in total inventory. So we have here the permissions script, and there is another script, okay, that you will run. Okay, So this is an Excel sheet that contains the NTFS permissions. Okay, this is the one that I have used previously. We will put it in the total inventory. So we put it with permissions. So we have NTFS permissions with two ways. So we'll type NTFS permissions. And then we need to okay, there is this Excel sheet that contains an Active Directory inventory, but it is not instantly like the one that we have done using the Excel sheet or using the Power Query. This is a temporary or a total inventory in a specific instant. I will show you all what I mean by this. So let's show you all what this Excel sheet contains. First of all, you need to open the PowerShell and run this command. Okay, so you are telling him to make a total inventory of all of the Active Directory objects of patient0.internal domain and put it in an Excel sheet called stlocal. I will show you all this folder and what it does. It contains just a moment. So here we can see that when we open this and we open this and we open the total inventory and open the Active Directory, here we will see that patient0 Active Directory. Let me show you all. So here we can see that it will contain let me show you all, contain everything. So this is an Excel sheet that will contain everything in the domain: the users, the groups, the group members, the organizational units. So this is a total inventory with one command or with one line. So you can make a total inventory of the domain with one command. All of these are here. We can see that it will contain a lot of useful data. It contains the names. Here we can see, for example, that this is all a lot of data. So this is done using this command. So this is a very useful inventory also. And by the way, there is a way to export, or this is command to export the Active Directory object as a whole, and this other one is to import it. So it is a back forward, or it is can be done to back up and to restore using this command csvde. Okay, so this is another thing concerning the total inventory of the Active Directory. So let's continue here. We have a lot of useful data, we have a lot of inventory, and then we will run another PowerShell script to create a report with the group policy objects in my domain. So here we have permissions, we have hardware, we have Active Directory. We will have another let's see, another PowerShell script, okay, to have the group policy. So here we can see that there is a script to get the group policy objects. This is a report, so we will run it. Okay, and let's see what this report will get us. Okay, so now we will run the domain GPO report. So this is a report, or it will get an Excel sheet and list all of the group policies in my domain and the organizational units that this group policy will be applied to, and the groups also. I will show you all this. So wait for a second, or sorry, the organizational units only. I will show you all. So let's run the report. He is asking about the domain, so we will give him the domain and the export path. We need to give him the domain that he will get the group policy objects from, and the path and the Excel sheet where this information will be exported. So we will make it again. So we run the report again. So here we need to give him a location. So I need to give him a location. So, and give him the domain name. So now we will run the report again. So this is also one of the PowerShell scripts to get a group policy inventory. So you can make a group policy inventory. I will show you all how we can do this. So we will run the PowerShell script again. So we will run it. then we will give him the domain patient 0 dot internal, and then we will give him the path, so we don't have another domain, only one domain, and the export path will be d export, so the one that we have created before, or d as you wish. So now we will he will check the domain, and then he will get a report of the group policies in the domain. So let's wait and see. So you can go there, and then we will go to another. Here we will install the DemWare tools on this virtual machine, but we will leave this for the upcoming video. I'm just need to stop here actually. So here we'll log in with my domain admin account. So here we will go and see the group policy report. So here we will see that. Here we can see that it gives us the GPO name, the group policy name, the domain, when it was created, when last was modified, and which it is linked to which organizational unit. So this is a very also useful report. So when it was modified, so this gives you an info when this group policy was modified. This to audit the group policy if you need to know when it was last modified. So this is a very good info or a tip to know. So this is, for example, the default domain policy. It will be applied to the domain patient 0.internal, and this is the default domain controllers policy. It will be applied to the domain controllers organizational unit, and then we can see a lot of things. So this is a very useful information you can use. Okay, so this is very good, and we need to go and okay, we can see here again, sorry. Anyway, so we will go on Pathet real quickly. So now we will go, or what here I am do here, I will stop, or but let me show you all. I will open, I will stop at the time to or stop, just a moment. So here we will stop at the installation of the DemWare remote support tool. So this is a tool to monitor and control, or to not to monitor, to remotely access the workstations and servers in your domain, and to do a lot of things. So this is to control the PCs in your domain and make or monitor them, not monitor, to make useful information and to control them. So we will stop here, and hope this video is informative for you. Also remember, this is the minute number 42. So hope this video is informative for you all, and would like thank you all for viewing. Thank you so much.